What are some resources and strategies that could help students find a job? So Janelle.
I think Artie made a good point of, not seeking perfection sometimes. Like you have to just laugh about things and, just do your best to just keep the interview moving forward. But I think to his point also, like it's a just interesting time right now for anyone coming out of undergrad or grad school to kind of be searching for jobs differently and in, networking very differently than before. I know this feels like a shot in the dark, but I had a young lady who went to, I think, Babson College reach out to me. And she was very nice about it. She sent me an email and was like, hey, saw your background. I loved your companies. And I just wanted to see if you had time to like chat with me. I took a Friday, took 30 minutes with her. She had a very agenda kind of, a few questions that she wanted to get through with me. And I thought she was fantastic. And I asked her, well, what can I do for you? Like, what do you need from me? Ended up connecting her with a few folks in my network. But then funny enough, we have like this thing called a BLP program. It's like business, it's like a rotational program. And the application opened up like a week after she reached out to me. I told her to apply. One of the campus recruiters actually already like reached out to her to get her scheduled. And I was like, oh, I know her. She had a really great call with me. She seemed very bright, eager to learn. And she was like, oh yeah, I had a great call. I'm going to move her forward. So I know sometimes like reaching out to people blindly on LinkedIn sounds like a shot in the dark, but when you're a recruiter and this is what you do for a living and you love it, trust me, like people will take the time out as much as they can to help you or to like set you up with the right next person to have a conversation with or figure out if there's any opportunities internally that they can maybe refer you to. And it's not like I'm not getting a referral bonus for it. I just thought she would be great, right? So it had nothing to do with like my benefit. I think everyone should take advantage of LinkedIn, whether it's, your profile being updated, networking, joining groups, just being active. A lot of things pass through that platform that once again, like you never know what could happen. So I encourage everyone to like, just make sure they're like putting themselves out there, putting themselves forward. And there's also other sites, right? Like Indeed, they're kind of a competitor of ours. I know there's some smaller ones built in New York City. I think they have like more startup kind of roles, but they're really cool as well. I've checked them out. Actually spoke to a candidate from that company before. So there's a lot of good job searching tools. But yeah, LinkedIn, built in New York City, Indeed. And yeah, I just say, just network, just shoot things in the dark. You never know what can happen. Just put yourself out there. The worst someone can tell you is no. That's it.
I agree with Janelle about, LinkedIn and networking. Another thing that I've done in my past is, if you're interviewing for a position and let's say you don't get it, that's okay. Like that's not a dead end. I think there's a good opportunity there to kind of say, well, thank you so much for interviewing me. If there's any opportunities in the future, I'd love to be considered. Is it okay if I connect with you on LinkedIn? And, I've had that situation actually in the past where I interviewed for a position. It wasn't the right fit at the right time. And I connected with her on LinkedIn. And a couple of years later, I did have the experience. And when I reached out to her again, there was a position open and it was like a 3-day process. I ended up getting the job and I worked at a global PR agency, Ketchum, under the Omnicom umbrella for 3 years. So yeah, I mean, you never know. I think just building your network. So if you've been in internships with other students, if you have any jobs, like even if you work in a restaurant or a retail store or whatever it is, connect with everyone, if they're on LinkedIn. I mean, sometimes they're not, but if they are, connect with them on LinkedIn and just stay in touch. And I think that the bigger your network can get, the more opportunities. And also early on in my career, I took a sales training. I was working for a health insurance company. And one of the things that I took away from the sales training is to have like a group of brand champions in your court. So even if they're not necessarily giving you a job or doing anything specific for you, the fact that they believe in you and are willing to help you like just get better in your career or offer encouragement, I think it's good to have like this little group of people that really believe in you in your court. So, building those types of relationships and mentorship connections are important as well.
I really like how you talked about, building the connections now, because I've been at the Career Center 17 years. It's shocking to say that. And I find that students think they can only connect with experienced people. But like Serena, for example, interned with us, right? 17, 15 years ago. And look where she is now, right? So, staying connected with your classmates because they will move on into other positions. And also, obviously, we should always be kind because you never know when you do interact or reconnect with someone that maybe, if you were rude in the class, now you want their help. Well, they may not be willing to help you. So,
Yeah.
so that's a great point. And Artie, anything to add to what they mentioned?
They make great points, and there is no magic bullet. But taking jobs that you may not necessarily be your first job that you ultimately want, go in and temp and see what else is out there. If you're still in school, do another internship. Again, like Serena and Janelle said, it's about building this personal brand and building this network, but doing it also professionally. I've coined this phrase. I've done a number of these panels with Natalia, and she could tell you, be professionally assertive. So if you're going to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, don't just say, hey, can you get me a job? I mean, listen, none of us can get anybody jobs. The best we could do is try to get you an interview, and then it's up to you to get through the process. But it's okay to, like Janelle said, she had people reach out to her saying, I really found your, background interesting. I'd love to chat. A lot of us in this field will take time to talk to you, but there's a way of going about it. And then just being professional about that at first ask is what you need to just make sure you're doing when you're reaching out to us.
100%. And that's, I mean, if you're part of the Career Center, and I know we have guests from other CUNYs, if you're a current student, use the Career Center to run by that email before you reach out. And if you're, already graduated, then you find a peer, a friend that could look it over before you send it out, just to make sure it's not overly aggressive.